Hello, and welcome to the 12th Annual Naples International Film Festival. My name is Kathleen van Bergen, and I am the CEO and President of Artis Naples. On behalf of everyone at Artis Naples and the Naples International Film Festival, I want to thank you for joining us, and especially for participating in this TalkBack Q&A. We would also like to thank our TalkBack Q&A sponsors, Stan and Saran Kroschauer. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome from the documentary film, The Oratorio, two of the directors of the film. Please join me in welcoming Alex Bayer and Marianne Rothberg. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Yeah,
we're on Zoom. There would be raucous applause and welcoming for each of you. So just imagine that support and enthusiasm. We've all just seen your film, and we are truly thrilled, especially as a multidisciplinary organization, to have the Oratorio in our festival this year. Thank you.
So we are so honored to have been selected, and we thank you for including us in your programming. It's really an honor. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, full disclaimer, I am not one of the screeners. We have an incredible team of screeners. I would like to give them a quick shout out. There are over 40 people who spent their whole summer viewing films, sharing their feedback, and we're grateful for their spirit of volunteerism and belief in independent film so that we can have such wonderful experiences like this. First of all, I'd like to know if this is your first film working together.
We are actually working, we're actually working on another film together. Alex has been editing that for a couple of years. And in the midst of working on that and filming a segment for that, we met people at the church. And then a few months later, they called us back to tell us about this wonderful event that was happening. And would we like to, film that and make a documentary out of it? And Alex, anything you want to add?
Sure, yeah. So we hit the pause button on the other film to just, quickly make a feature film together. So this was the first film that we completed together, but we started the other one, which we're currently now in post-production on. Yeah.
Terrific. As someone who went to a music conservatory, I am captivated by this story because this is definitely not the Lorenzo da Ponte story that we learn in musicology. So how is it that you heard, I think it all stops with he and Mozart in Vienna in my remembering of the story. How did you all discover this 1826 performance and the whole story? Was it through the church, or was it through your research or others?
Sure. Well, we discovered more and more about da Ponte through the research. Like Marianne said, the concert was already scheduled to take place, and they asked us if we'd be interested in filming. And the more we learned about that performance and just the history leading up into it, we realized that there was a pretty interesting story there. And we kept revealing more and more layers. And someone like Lorenzo da Ponte was, so he organized that original event. So he was always going to be included in the film, and his amazing story all through Europe and what happened after his time with Mozart was all revealed to us after we had already started working on this film. So it was a really fantastic surprise to have this wonderful character come to life, and he became a larger part of the film as a result.
Terrific. It's a great part of it. May I ask, there's so many. Please go ahead, Marianne.
No, you all froze for a couple of minutes, so I don't know if Alex put in the part about Lorenzo da Ponte's autobiography, which we also read, which was so much fun. I mean, he had such a colorful life, and he had such a flair for embellishment, and reading it is really a delight. I mean, we found out a lot about him. I mean, again, through the embellishments, it was hard to tell exactly what was real and what he was exaggerating about, but I highly recommend it if you want a fun read.
An operatic character in his own right, literally. Also, it's an incredible story of the church. so many of us know the new St. Patrick's Cathedral and visit it either during the holidays or some of us, I have family who have some special occasions that have been held in the new basilica, but it was really a pleasure to learn about the old basilica. How did you know of the tight community there? And please share with us what a treasure it was, and how did it happen to have Martin Scorsese kind of walk us through this history? Alex, Marianne?
Again, we did a fair amount of research. We spoke with people affiliated with the church, and one of those people was Martin Scorsese, who, as we present in the film, this was his childhood church. It was where he was an altar boy, a choir boy, and he still has a connection with the church through the urban organ, which is also featured in our film. And he had graciously agreed to help us, with the project as a narrator. But when we went to research the various elements about the church, we learned about all the wonderful characters who were affiliated with it, some of whom ended up on the cutting room floor. Clement Clark Moore was a member of the church. As he's better known as the writer of The Night Before Christmas. Elizabeth Seton, who's the first female American saint, she was affiliated with the church. And it just had such a wonderful, rich history that the history of the church really excited us. And we wanted to make sure that that was included in the film, as well as just, the musical part. So.
Right. And working with Scorsese was definitely the most amazing experience that I've had working on a documentary so far. He was just so incredibly just generous with his time and really helpful and a wonderful collaborator. We actually wrote a lot of his contributions ahead of time and had exchanged scripts with him, had him rewrite, and we would make adjustments to his revisions, and he was very open to all of our creative input, which was a really humbling experience. And yeah, it was just fantastic. I would do it again.
There are so many subjects I want to ask about, but now feels like the right time to tell you that you took not only music, a Catholic church steeped in tradition, an organ that not many people know about, but even an actor of the likes of Martin Scorsese, and you made every subject approachable, comfortable, engaging. So thank you very much for treating each one of them with such care. It was really a treasure. I still can't get over what it must have been like to work with him, watching him sit in his very comfortable suit in a pew, sharing childhood stories. If I may, it personally touched me because I grew up in an Irish Catholic household in New Jersey, but most of my family's in New York. And when he talked about the community and the parish community being Italian and Irish, I have first cousins with names of Val Maria Chiato and Tom Machetto. So I was immediately calling my family, asking questions, and you brought it to life and made it so engaging. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that.
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
it's true. Can we talk a little bit about the organ?
Of course.
Of course.
What a delicate instrument, first of all. It looks like it is in need of more TLC, but it's tremendous that they have a talent like Jared Lamenzo, who was really carrying and stewarding this instrument along. After I just say one more introduction, I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you learned about the organ. But there's so many of us who are sitting at home craving the visual arts, the performing arts, the idea of being able to listen to an organ right now live in a church with choir singing is just so foreign. So you were able to bring us a little bit of that. What is the future for the organ? What do we see in its restoration and celebration?
Well, we definitely hope that the film can funnel some interest to the nonprofit that is set up, that Scorsese is the president of, to help restore the organ to its original glory. And he has a line in the film where he talks about, it's amazing to think that his grandparents and everyone before them would hear the same sounds coming out of this organ, and how it kind of connects you to that history. It is really a very large piece of living history that should be preserved. And we had the pleasure of experiencing what it was like with an organ master like Jared performing these wonderful pieces, and you're just right up next to it filming him. It's a really powerful experience. And if you go to that basilica, actually, I don't know currently what the situation is, but under normal circumstances, if you would go there, you might be able to find yourself treated to some of that music, because they do have organists that perform on that organ or practice on the organ as well. Yeah.
That's great. Marianne, did you expect that the organ would be such a character in the film?
We did, because we knew that that's where Martin Scorsese's heart was and why he wanted to help us with this project. You know, as you mentioned earlier, we had so many subject matters to cover in this little short film that we, you know, worried for a bit that it would get short shrift. So that was a challenge. And Alex, who edited the film, really did a remarkable job putting all those pieces together.
Great.
So,
when you think about the technology of today, an example, our platform right now, organs were the technology of the time. And you really showed us both the beauty of this majestic instrument, but also getting into the intricacies of the technical workings of it. So thank you for sharing both sides. May I ask what surprises you discovered? I think when we look at the shape of a documentary, there were probably things you anticipated and then moments of real surprise as you were filming. Do either one of you have a favorite surprise you'd like to share?
I think, and Alex may have a different surprise, but I think for me, the big surprise was how big of a role Lorenzo da Ponte ended up playing in the film. I mean, originally he was mentioned and was more of a footnote. And as Alex was editing, we realized that he could be the glue for holding all of these disparate elements together. And, you know, as I said, when we were reading more about him, he just had such a fascinating life. There's, you know, it seems natural that he would have been a major part of the film. But I think that was the surprise for me. Alex, what would you say? I'm trying to think of.
I would agree with that, and I would probably give a three-part answer because the three main Italian interview subjects that we have, Francesco Zimé, Donato Renzetti, and Claudio Orazzi, all spoke about music and about their work in such a poetic and beautiful manner that it was a real pleasure to have that kind of material to edit with. For example, when Claudio talks about how the architecture of a basilica like that can really change the experience for the listener, about how that the music becomes a more sublime kind of experience. I thought was just a wonderful addition that no one could have written that. You know, it was just came from his heart. So those moments were definitely very nice surprises for me.
Indeed. I also loved the reactions of the Italian artists performing, specifically the two female soloists who tried to say that combined they could be the great diva Maria Malibran. It was just adorable that you were able to capture their excitement of performing this concert. May I ask, even amidst all the challenges of the pandemic, what's next for the film?
Well, we are going to be in one more film festival, and in St. Louis Film Festival, which is my hometown, so I'm excited about that. And hopefully, you know, we will show in a few other film festivals. And then we, you know, hope that our film can be licensed and shown in other countries. I know the Italians with the opera company have been calling us and asking, you know, when is the film going to be in Italy? And, you know, hopefully that will be soon. So fingers crossed.
Oh, I hope so. It'll be such a sense of pride to have it shown there. Yes. And will you share a little bit more about this next project that was put on hold and then will be revived, Alex?
Sure. It's tentatively called Forever Endeavor. And it deals with ideas of legacy and remembrance and perhaps the futility of it all, or the impermanence of these ideas. And yeah, it's been a passion project for both Marianne and Jonathan, our other director, for a few years, and there have been, I think, maybe 45 interviews conducted with people ranging from astronaut Jim Lovell, talking about his experience of making his name possibly last much longer after his death, and people like author Tom Wolfe, who the interview setup is quite wonderful. He is being interviewed while he is being sculpted. His bust is being sculpted, and he continually explains that he does not care about his legacy. So there's some visual irony happening right there. And many, many others, psychologists and historians and religious figures, paleontologists. It kind of casts a very wide net to discuss these ideas and how permanent legacy and remembrance can actually be.
Another light subject. Well, again, I know that the audiences here are going to love this film. Thank you very much for everything you put into the oratorio. I really would do anything to have been at that concert and lived that moment of history, as well as brightness for the future. Are there any last thoughts you would like to leave us with?
No,
it was a wonderful interview. Thank you for it.
We really hope that we can have you physically in person to Naples in the future to again be a part of the Naples International Film Festival. And thank you for your terrific work on this project. I look forward to seeing what's next for both of you.
Thanks so much, Kathleen. And on behalf of our co-director, John Mann, thank you.
Thank you. So final thank you to all of our guests, our audiences, of course, our filmmakers, and thank you for supporting the Naples International Film Festival. Take care. All right, great. I forgot to bring up Jim Gaffigan. I forgot to raise a question about him. That was such a fun surprise, like when all of a sudden you're like, what? Right. I have no idea. And
that was a surprise for us as well.
Just for my own curiosity, would you mind sharing how did you discover that? Was it through Martin Scorsese or Monsignor or? I
mean, he's a member of the church, a very active member, as you could see from his participation in the Sunday. Yeah. And at one point we thought we needed to light the tone of him would be a nice addition. So.
Although he wasn't actually very funny when he talked about it, but we just always laugh looking at him. You smile and you think.
Right. He was, I mean, it was such a, it's really just because he was a member of that church. What was a nice surprise about, I mean, that was kind of like why we interviewed him. It's like, well, if Jim Gaffigan is there, of course you should ask him about this stuff. I didn't expect it to be as relevant as it was in regards to his children, because his children are, seen taking these singing lessons, and they're like sort of the future of the musical culture of this neighborhood. And it's cool to see that that's, it's an ongoing story. It's not just talking about Da Ponte and Mozart and the history of this stuff. It's about the future as well. So I think that he ended up representing that, as well as having a bit of star power.
Nicely said. I think if I remember correctly, he even acknowledged that he doesn't read music, but that he wanted his children to be a part of it.
Right, yeah.
I think that was very much their gift. Yeah. Again, I was really touched by your film, so thank you for creating it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kathleen. We appreciate it. So take care. Thanks again.
You be
Thanks,
well.
Kathleen.
Take care. Congrats.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.